Hey everyone, this is Black117 here, and today we'll be going over our PFA Week 7 battle as we are up against Abruptfury of the Toronto Maple Leafeons. And this game is by far one of the more, I would say, troublesome, like, concerning games I have, because on the one hand, this is a divisional game, so if I win this one, even with our record, we're likely in playoffs. So, and pretty much secure. I don't think we secure playoffs, but with our differential, we probably will. So, we will win. So, but for Abrupt, this is a very important game for him because he has been on a slump lately. So. He's lost 3 games in a row, some very, very close games, and he was actually undefeated like me for the first 3 games, and then like the next 3, it was pretty much like a combination of just, I'd say unfortunate events, or bad hacks, I guess you could call it. Like, I think with the exception of the rain matchup, I think the other 2 either were winnable. It's just that, you know, when your opponent gets max rolls and damage rolls and the twice, which is very absurd, and the fact that like missing Aquatail was just support, but well, he has to improve now. So let's get into this game. Alright, so for this game I did prep for Incineroar, stuff like Incineroar, Tentacle, Crystal. Like, his team, I'm not gonna lie, is very, very depth. Has the depth to pretty much take on my team, and he can pretty much like change the squad around completely come playoffs, and that's how I view it. So I probably won't say anything further than that. So yeah, so let's just talk about the Pokemon it had. So he brought Celesteela, which is pretty much very likely since I thought he would bring it or not, since Celesteela just walls my Sandcore very well, as well as Breloom, since it handles Excadrill as well. Garchomp was pretty much an almost necessary for Charax and Zapdos in a way, and Excadrill, so it could be Scarf, it could be Bulky, so Jellicent is his new bring, and I had a feeling he'd bring it, so over maybe Tentacruel, but it's because I doubt he brings both Water Pokemon, so it's like one or the other, like one of the other jellyfish Pokemon, I don't know. One is a squid and one's the jellyfish, I don't know. So, but Jellicent is really cool since it does have access to Trick Room, so this could have a Trick Room component into this team. So he also has Sylveon, so I don't know whether it's offensive or whether it's just defensive as usual. And then we have a Minitrick, so very likely it's gonna be like a pivot. So for our options, we have 50 Goggle Zapdos with Fizz Def, enough speed to outcreep, outspace the Bloom. Very light. We also have Manaphy with the substitute. Now it was very freaking sub Manaphy this week, but to be honest, given the fact that I could set up on Tentacruel, I could set up on the Jellicent, I could set up on Celesteela, so I could just set up a +3 and just go to town, just take at least 2 kills, because if he does have Volt Switch, I could at least claim 2 Pokemon before Manaphy goes down. So, anyways, I do have a Dazzling Gleam just to hit most of his mons for neutral. I thought about Ice Beam, but I felt that hitting I forgot who it was. I think it was Breloom was more important, like for coverage. Well, then again, I could also have Psychic, but the thing is, that was that one Momon. I forgot what it was. Oh yeah, Drumpa. Yeah, I wanted to hit Drumpa. So, Psychic doesn't OHKO with +3, so I needed that, so. I could have gone for Ice Beam, but I don't know, so. Then we have Charax, which is pretty standard with Bulky Dragon Dance. We have Hippo with Rocks, Toxic, Sack Off, very standard, with Smooth Rock. So it's a mixed wall. And it can actually wall Garchomp for once, so I don't have to worry about Zapdos and Comp. Zapdos has to worry about that Mon that much, so yeah. Then we have our Excadrill, which pretty much has a very heat set, which is Sword Stance Sub Agua Berry, with the Earthquake and Iron Head. So you might think this, okay, so why you're running a Pokemon that's walled by Celesteela, but the thing is, Abrupt doesn't run like, he's been running offensive Celesteela for a while now, and if he does wrong offensive, he might have Bleach Seed or Substitute, so he's gonna have very limited coverage options. So he must have either Flamethrower or Earthquake as one or the other, or he could possibly have Heavy Slam, which I don't even have to worry about at all. So if he just has Mono Steel, then I could just sub on it and just set up on the Celesteela and just sweep. Same goes with some of his other mons, but yeah. Lastly, we have our Cleric Aromatisse with Heal Bell, or no, I think it's Aromatherapy, Wish, Moonblast, and Combine. So yeah, we'll get this battle started. So I lead with Zapdos or Stormbreaker, as he leads with Raid. Oh god, that's funny. So already I want to go for the Eden Power Ice just to break the sash. I have suspect this might be Leaf Bloom. So I was expecting him to stay in, maybe try to Spore me, so maybe I could get him there. But he gets into a Metatrick, and I don't know why he went there. But then again, I think he had no other option, so maybe the Sylveon would have been nice, but getting Chip on the Metatrick is always appreciated, because this just puts him in range of Flare Blades of my Char-X if he's intimidated. So yeah, especially with the sand, and the tip rocks up. So he goes for Toxic here, and I'm like, all right. So he has a way to deal with my Charizard X and my Hippo. So he goes to Celesteela immediately, knowing that like I can't do anything to this thing. So he goes for Toxic, and I'm like, alright, so this is defensive Celesteela. So at least we know some information here. Here I go for another Hidden Power Ice, seeing what he wants to do. And he goes to Sylveon, and I'm like, alright, so let's see what the item. He has your Leftover, so that might indicate to me that he is setup or like defensive, or something similar to what I have with like Aromatisse. So yeah. So of course I want to get rid of the Toxics, so I go into Aromatisse. He goes for Calm Mind. So unfortunately I do have Aromatherapy on this guy or gal, since otherwise this would be bad. So he does get the Moonblast drop, but I don't intend on staying in here, so I do remove this. So it's pretty much a null turn. So I'm pretty much trying to do here is wear down his entire team with sand and rock damage or chip damage, enough to where like Excadrill. Whoa, this card is going fast. Enough to where like well, Excadrill, Manaphy, Char-X could just sweep. So yeah. So I pretty much allow Aromatisse to get worn down, but I do have a Papa Berry, so here he gets greedy with the Calm Mind here, and I get in my Rufus, and I'm like, and I'll be right back. Alright, so we're back. So what happened? So Sylveon got to +2, as I switched into Excadrill, so I expected him to do that or go for his fairy move, so be a little bit passive or take a hit. So here I decide I might be time to just go for sub here. Then if he goes for Hyper Voice, it's not gonna break my sub at all, so I might as well just go for it. I try to chip down this Celesteela. So I'm gonna go for Iron Head here, as he reveals the eject button and he goes straight into Breloom. And this is very curious of him, understand? So I'm not so sure what exactly happened, but him being like eject button allows him to switch into a mon of his choice, and it was Breloom. So he does get chipped, so we will be able to break his sash. So if he has one. So at this point in the game, I'm like, all right, I got rid of his sash, so I decide maybe it's time I'm just gonna go for the Iron Head onto the Breloom. However, he outspeeds me, And fortunately for me, I do have my Agua Berry, so I do enough chip damage to where like a couple sand turns with some status and rocks with some like a move, like a resist move, which is knockout Breloom. So it was fortunate that we do have the Agua Berry since so we were able to eat that up very nicely. Hopefully, he did get a crit in this situation, so goes into Manectric. Very risky play on his end, but then again, I think he had the advantage. Here he goes for Toxic as I go for Chip for Hidden Power Ice. Or here I go. He goes back to Sylveon as I go back to Hippowdon just to set up the sand, try to chip down his team. At this point, I go for Toxic, trying to catch him on the switch on like a Jellicent or a Garchomp, but he's obviously gonna go with Celesteela. So I should have probably switched to Charizard X, since that would have been like pretty much optimal for my end on my end. So that was a pretty big mess up on my end since I had a little bit of momentum going there. So I kind of screwed up by just going for this guy and getting Toxic. So I'm getting punished for that. So here I decided to Mega Evolve, and I was debating about Dragon Dancing or going for the setup, and I'm not so sure exactly which one. So here I decided to go for the Flare Blitz and get some chip onto the Garchomp, since I had a feeling that I wouldn't be able to like stay in on this thing either way. So here I decide I do get some good chip, but I feel like based on the way he's playing, he might just go for Sword Stance. So here I decide, you know what, I'm gonna go for the Dragon Claw, expecting him to Sword Stance or Rocks. But he's very fortunate enough to land over Stone Edge and connect with my Char-X, so I'll be able to knock me out. So yeah, I go to Manaphy, and I honestly thought he was gonna sack Breloom, but I was very surprised that he just lets Garchomp go. As I do go for Dazzling Gleam. I should have just set up Toglo right here, since that would have just I don't know, made me more threatening. But maybe that might have helped me out. So, but getting rid of Garchomp was huge, as now I don't want this thing around any longer. So here is a very, very important turn. So I do have an Aromatisse and Zapdos in line, but he has Village Seed, so I can't really stay in. I can't really like stay in on Manaphy because obviously it's gonna die to Bullet Seed, but I don't have a choice. However, Zapdos is worn down with, I'd say, a good amount of chip damage, so I don't want Zapdos to die here. So Breloom can still get faint from like sand. Of course, sand's gonna go down, but like it's gonna faint from like a couple rock switching. So with sand, so he probably has like one more turn left with sand up. So here I decide, you know what, I'm gonna sack Manaphy, and if he goes for it, Bullet Seed, that's fine. But he overextends. Abrupt overextends himself, and he goes for Rock Tomb instead. This pretty much allows me to get a KO on Breloom. So at this point in the game, I pretty much, I don't want to say I locked up the game for yet, but it's looking like it. But for me, so in terms of my game plan, so here I decide I might as well go for the setup on the Jellicent. But the thing is, I haven't seen Jellicent used at all, so I might suspect this might be a Trick Room variant. So I'm gonna go for my setup. However, he fortunately, like, he calls this and goes for Trick. So apparently Jellicent just ran Trick specifically for the Manaphy, so that was a good bring on his end. So, however, this does mean this just puts another mind game to it. So, is he gonna switch out to Sylveon or Celesteela or set up a substitute? So, again, this is another mind game where I have to call whether or not he's gonna switch out. So, and I have to sack. And I'm pretty much forced to sack because I don't want to like have any of my mods like take a hit. So yeah. So Blueberry goes down. So I go to Aromatisse. Here he goes into Voyager, as I go for Aromatherapy. And by the way, Celesteela has now revealed Leech Seed. and he's getting worn down very, very fast. So he is in range of +2 Iron Head on a switch in, so he cannot take 2 Iron Heads at this point. So in the game, so unless he reveals Rest, here he goes for Toxic. Pretty much he has to go for it. So he switches out and goes to Sylveon, and Sylveon is very, very low in HP, and he gets a paralysis. And it's very fortunate on my end, since now I pretty much weaken this thing, so to the point where it's not going to be able to like do anything for much this game. So he has to go for Wish. So if he has it, so he does have Moonblast, so he may or may not have like something like CM, so or Hyper Voice. So he's been going for Moonblast all this time, so we'll see what moves he has. So here we go to Excadrill as he reveals the Rest. And now this makes things a little bit more interesting. So I do go for Iron Head here. However, he goes into Celesteela, and with the rocks and the Iron Head damage, this does puts him in range of another one. So I decide I don't want this to be Rest Celesteela at all, and I decide, you know what, I'm gonna decide the game right here. So I'm gonna go for Iron Head. If I do miss out on the critical Oko, then at least I hope for the flinch. So I go for the Iron Head, and I knock out Celesteela, which is huge. And now Manectric is out, and I do go for my Hippowdon. So at this point, the game is pretty much, it just comes down to how I'm gonna break down Jellicent and how I'm gonna break Sylveon. So I don't have to worry about these guys. He does reveal like Toxic, but on Magnet Rise, but I was like, I'm not worried. I did go for Earthquake because I wanted to get a switch in. I wanted to get Chip onto this thing. He goes for Trick here, which I don't agree with that play, because you already saw that I have Sand for 8 turns, and with the Toxic onto this means I have an extra turn to go for Earthquake, meaning that I could just go for like another hit. So, and I could just go, this is gonna become a double down. So as you see the HP bar, so at this point he has to attack me, and I could attack him back. So this was gonna become a double down no matter what. So now it's gonna come down to Sylveon versus Excadrill versus End the World. So I do have a Aromatisse, so I could 1v1 Sylveon potentially, and Zapdos as well. But Excadrill is pretty much my win-win con right at this point. Here I go for the Iron Head, and it does a lot, but he has True Charm. And I'm like, oh god. And he goes for Moonblast, and he crits me. And at this point, I'm like, oh hell no. Like, alright, so my only way I could get out of this one is if I hope that I could sack Zapdos. I can't go into Aromatisse at all. He's gonna rest up again, and we repeat the whole cycle again. So I'm gonna go back to Zapdos to get the recovery. So we already seen he has rest, Sleep Talk, Rest, CM, Moonblast. So at this point, I could just go for the Discharge, and yeah, that is GG. Is Zapdos or Rufus, or I don't know who the fuck it was. So yeah. Now, this game, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really prep much for it, since I didn't have that much time throughout the week. And by the time I did get to it, I was like, oh crap, it's the date where like I was gonna battle Abrupt was coming very close. So I was like, okay, I gotta just think of something really fast. So I just took my old team and just made some edits. I had a feeling that he would bring like, there was some stuff I thought of, but then again I was like, I'll save it for later. So if playoffs do happen. So I do think that my game plan of chipping down Abrupt worked out perfectly, and it really just helped me out. So I think there's a couple plays I didn't like from my end, like such as staying in with Hippo, just Toxic. Like I should have just been aggressive and like went into Char X, because that would have just put me in momentous. It would have put me in a momentous position. So not only would I have had a setup on a Char X. Okay, well it forces a mind game with Celesteela, so I would have a setup Char X, and at that point it would be very dangerous for him, because Char X at +1 could just sweep him right there, especially if he swapped out. So he probably would have sacked Celesteela at that point. But that would have meant his team would have been weaker to the rest of my team, so like Excadrill and shit, so yeah. But he did play very well, and I kind of slipped up here and there, but I think we managed. So good games to Abrupt, as we extend our win record to 7-0. So now that we are 7-0, I think it's a good time to like do some random stuff. So as we'll like face Rorless right there barking at us, and probably Slick. So first of all, we'll be dealing with Rorless right now. So then after that, we'll go week 8 on Alex ass. So yeah. So that's all I'm gonna say. So week 8 is gonna be our rematch, finals rematch, which is gonna be funny. So, and since it's week 8, it's gonna be we'll see what happens. So yeah. So all right. So I'll see you guys later. So take care.